80 years after its founding, the United Nations is no longer seen as a symbol of global unity, but as an institution in deep crisis. What should be a celebratory milestone has become a warning signal. The breakdown we're witnessing isn't just political. It's financial and increasingly existential. At UN headquarters in New York, the mood has turned bleak. The Trump administration, now in its second term, has slashed funding to the UN's core programs and peacekeeping operations. For years, the system has relied heavily on Washington's contributions, but the sudden withdrawal has left the UN dangerously exposed. Like and subscribe to Western Relations for more insight into the shifting global order and Europe's evolving. The World Food Programme got nearly half its funding from the US last year. The UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, depended on it for around 40%. Now, these agencies are cutting staff, scaling back missions, and withdrawing from crisis zones. In places like Sudan, Gaza, and Afghanistan, the UN has been the last line of humanitarian defense. That line is now breaking. Europe, Japan, and South Korea have made it clear they won't plug the gap. EU states are focused on defense and energy security. The UK and Netherlands have trimmed their aid budgets. Even China, often described as the next global superpower, has declined to intervene. Beijing has its own economic challenges and questions the value of investing heavily in an institution it sees as outdated and inefficient. Facing this funding collapse, Antonio Guterres launched the UN80 Reform Initiative. It aims to streamline agencies, move operations to less costly locations like Nairobi, and merge overlapping mandates. On paper, the changes are bold, but anyone familiar with UN reform knows how the story tends to end. Ambitious goals, modest results. Still, reform is no longer optional. The UN system is bloated and inefficient. Multiple agencies often do the same work with little coordination. But cutting costs won't be enough if global powers keep walking away. And in the meantime, the UN's relevance in major conflicts, from Ukraine to Gaza to Myanmar, has sharply declined. Yet for all its flaws, the UN still matters. In fragile regions like the Sahel and the Horn of Africa, it provides essential food, medicine, and shelter. Without that safety net, we risk a return to the kind of famine and collapse that once shocked the world into action. If these agencies disappear, the suffering will be real and immediate. This is not just about whether the UN can survive. It's about whether anyone is willing to protect the idea of global cooperation. If Western powers retreat, middle powers, countries like Brazil and Indonesia, must take the lead. If they don't, the system may collapse entirely. The UN may no longer be the guardian it once hoped to be, but if we allow it to become just another casualty of a fractured world, the consequences will extend far beyond Turtle Bay. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Western Relations and join us as we follow the future of global diplomacy from Brussels to New York and beyond.